Welcome to part 4 of my Obi-Wan Kenobi character analysis. If you haven't seen part 1, 2, or 3 yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. I'll throw up the title card and place a link in the description to it. In today's video, I'll continue my case for Obi-Wan as the greatest Star Wars character, looking at his role in episode 3. So without further ado, let's get into it. With the death of Grievous, one would have imagined that the violence would have stopped. But unfortunately, it's only the beginning as Order 66 is initiated. Obi-Wan is betrayed by not only the Republic that he fought for,
execute Order 66,
but by the soldiers he fought alongside and called friends.
Come on, when have I ever let you down?
Did you find Kenobi? Sir, no one could have survived that fall.
But most painfully, he's betrayed by his best friend and the brother that he raised.
Every single Jedi, including your friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, is now an enemy of the Republic.
I understand, Master.
So Obi-Wan, along with the Jedi Order as a whole, must suffer the consequences of Anakin's betrayal, as the Jedi are purged throughout the galaxy. Obi-Wan's survival is a testament to his resilience, and thematically, it's no coincidence that he and Yoda are of the few survivors, as while they may have followed the code, they were not entirely blinded by it, as they've shown that they're willing to learn from their mistakes, as they lack the extreme arrogance that other Jedi possess, as we see in Mace and Anakin. Obi-Wan is then left to escape Utapau on Grievous' ship. Ironic, as typically Grievous would have used this vessel as a means to leave his soldiers behind and live to fight another day. And in this case, Obi-Wan does the same, but the difference here is that it's his soldiers that abandoned him.
Senator Organa, my clone troops turned on me. I need help.
We have just rescued Master Yoda. It appears that ambushes happen everywhere.
While Obi-Wan typically keeps politicians at an arm's distance, in this desperate time, Obi-Wan ironically turns to a politician for help, although it's one that he can trust in Bail Organa. Obi-Wan understands the importance of having multiple friends you can rely on during a difficult time, whereas Anakin seems to be shortening his circle.
My loyalties lie with the Chancellor, and with the Senate, and with you.
What about Obi-Wan?
I don't know. Many Jedi have been killed. We can only hope that he's remained loyal to the Chancellor.
Once Obi-Wan regroups with Bail and Yoda, he begins to truly see the gravity of the situation that they're in.
How many other Jedi have managed to survive?
Heard from no one, have we? Received a coded retreat message, we have.
It requests all Jedi to return to the temple. It says the war is over.
Well, then we must go back. If there are any stragglers, they will fall into the trap and be killed.
Even with as dangerous of a plan as this, Obi-Wan is more than willing to put his own life on the line for the sake of others. Through and through, Obi-Wan will always do what he believes is right, even if it means he may not make it out alive himself.
Suggest dismantling the coded signal, do you?
Yes, Master, there is too much at stake.
I agree. And a little more knowledge might light our way.
Obi-Wan also understands that while the purge is still fresh, this may be the best time to strike back if the Jedi are to have a fighting chance. And with this suggestion, this leads Yoda to consider the other benefits to his plan, such as obtaining knowledge, which as we know, may give them the wisdom they need going forward. Or as one might say, knowledge is power. Once they arrive at the Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan and Yoda once again display why they were one of the few Jedi to survive Order 66, as they show their mastery of the Force and legendary skills with the lightsaber, as they take on their once allies in the clones. Although once they make it through the troops, they're left with having to painfully witness the aftermath of what has become of their home, as thousands of Jedi lie dead, with no survivors to be found. What's worse is what they realize when they mourn their fallen brethren.
Not even the younglings survived.
Killed not by clones. This Padawan. By a lightsaber he was.
Who? Who could have done this?
The betrayal is then furthered as they were not only killed by their allies in the clones, but likely one of their own. What's painful here is that as the audience, we already know that Anakin committed these atrocities, but because Obi-Wan is not informed yet, we see his raw reaction, as he never assumes who it could be, because while others doubted Anakin, he truly always believed in him, and would never think that someone who might as well have been his own blood would do something so evil. This scene, followed by Anakin committing more murders with the defenseless separatists, makes it all the more tragic, as Obi-Wan still clings on to hope, and Anakin has delved deeper into despair, as we see the pain and agony on his face as he completes his mission.
I have recalibrated the code, warning all surviving Jedi to stay away.
Obi-Wan can rest a little easier, as they have succeeded in their main mission. However, the true test will be what he does with the information he's about to receive.
Wait, Master, there is something I must know.
If into the security recordings you go, only pain will you find.
I must know the truth, Master.
Yoda voices what Obi-Wan already knows. Obi-Wan knows that going into it, he will only be saddened by what he sees, but he casts his feelings aside and searches for the truth above all else. As mentioned before, knowledge is their most powerful weapon, and they have some catching up to do if they're to have a fighting chance against the Sith.
It can't be. It can't be.
You have done well, my new apprentice. Now, Lord Vader, go and bring peace to the Empire.
I can't watch anymore.
In this moment, Obi-Wan is completely torn and betrayed. As we witness the moment, he's faced with the truth that the boy he raised is responsible for all this. And like any concerned family member, he can only take so much before it makes him sick. This also shows that while the Jedi are told not to have attachments, this can truly feel like an impossible task, as their compassion for others makes them have a necessity to care about each other on a personal level.
Destroy the Sith. We must.
Yoda's reaction juxtaposes Obi-Wan's, as Yoda has already accepted that their sworn enemy in Anakin must be eliminated, but Obi-Wan is incapable of viewing his brother as a villain, which makes him incapable of killing him.
Send me to kill the Emperor. I will not kill Anakin.
To fight this Lord Sidious strong enough, you are not.
He is like my brother. I cannot do it.
In other words, Obi-Wan would rather die than kill Anakin, because both characters know that Obi-Wan doesn't stand a chance of surviving against the Emperor. So Yoda here must save Obi-Wan from himself, as Obi-Wan has a better shot against his former apprentice, not only because of his skill, but because he knows him better than anyone. It's because of this Obi-Wan's fear is not losing to Anakin, but defeating him.
Twisted by the dark side, young Skywalker has become. The boy you trained, gone he is, consumed by Darth Vader.
Just like the security recordings, Yoda must give Obi-Wan a reality check, because like anyone else, Obi-Wan will make an excuse not to have to face the truth if it's something they don't want to accept. This line also encapsulates the failure that Obi-Wan feels in his pupil, so much to the point that he could only cope with it in a similar way that Yoda frames it here, by viewing Anakin and Vader as two separate entities, something he would hold on to for life.
He betrayed and murdered your father.
I do not know where the Emperor has sent him. I don't know where to look.
Use your feelings, Obi-Wan, and find him you will.
Ironically, Obi-Wan's feelings is not only the very thing that's prevented him from wanting to face Anakin, but it's also the very thing that allows him to track him down, as he knows that Padme is the key to finding his answers, as she's the only other person who rivals his own care for Anakin.
Do you know where he is now?
No.
Padme, I need your help. He is in grave danger.
From the Sith?
From himself.
Obi-Wan is spot on here, as Anakin's biggest concern is the threat that he can cause to himself, because his mind has become so consumed with fear that he's truly forgotten the difference between right and wrong, which means he's on the path to doing something that he will always regret. Obi-Wan also rightfully assumes that Padme knows more than she's letting on, so he knows he needs to press her for more information, as she's the best chance at saving Anakin from himself.
Padme, Anakin has turned to the dark side.
You're wrong. How could you even say that?
I have seen a security hologram of him killing younglings.
Not Anakin. He couldn't.
Padme's reaction is probably what Obi-Wan's would be if he had no evidence as well, as the two want to see the good in Anakin more than anyone. So telling Padme the truth only brings pain to Obi-Wan, as knowing the truth is one thing, but saying it out loud makes it all the more real in his own mind.
He was deceived by a lie. We all were. It appears that the Chancellor is behind everything, including the wall. Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been looking for. After the death of Count Dooku, Anakin became his new apprentice.
I don't believe you.
Here, Obi-Wan just lays out the facts to Padme, and it almost feels like he's doing so, not only to convince Padme, but himself as well. It's the only way he can come closer to making sense of the situation, even as painful as it may be.
Padme, I must find him.
You're going to kill him, aren't you?
He has become a very great threat.
It pains Obi-Wan so much that he can't directly admit to Padme's accusation, avoiding the question and trying to justify his actions by mentioning how much of a threat he's become. He knows deep down that killing him is not the answer, but he feels compelled to do so for the sake of the galaxy. This here shows the great dilemma of the human heart in conflict with itself. Obi-Wan must choose between honoring the Republic, the Jedi Order, and the galaxy as a whole, protecting them at all costs, or to sacrifice that honor and remain loyal to his brother in Anakin and maintain hope in him. Padme's take represents the side that chooses hope and peace over violence, whereas Yoda's represents the idea that the ends justify the means. In the end, it's for Obi-Wan to decide, and he alone is burdened with the blessing and curse of choice. He must look at Anakin as the boy he once knew, or as the evil Darth Vader he's become.
Anakin is the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
Here he confronts Padme about something he's always known, showing not only his perceptive nature, but it's an indicator of how much he cares for both Anakin and Padme, as he's known all along, but made the choice not to say anything so they could have a chance at happiness. Obi-Wan knows that Padme would never knowingly betray Anakin, as he's the father of her children and the love of her life, so he sneaks onto her ship without her knowledge in the hopes that he will be able to confront his apprentice once and for all. Obi-Wan finds himself on Mustafar, a volcanic planet that represents hell itself and symbolizes the manifestation of the turmoil in Anakin's heart. Upon arriving, Padme is quick to greet her husband and attempts to bring him back to the light. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan waits in the hopes that she proves to be successful.
Obi-Wan is trying to turn you against me.
He cares about us.
Us?
He knows. He wants to help you.
While Padme may know that Obi-Wan has Anakin's best interest at heart, unfortunately, Anakin does not share this sentiment with her. And through their conversation, Padme begins to recognize that Anakin's so far gone that he's forgotten who his friends are, and is willing to push away anyone that has a chance of standing in his way, even his own brother.
Obi-Wan was right. You've changed.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan. The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me.
Obi-Wan's relationship with Anakin has been shattered. Where Anakin once viewed him as a friend, he's now an enemy in his eyes. This being one of the many reasons Padme begins to break down, as she knows that Anakin's care for Obi-Wan is unmatched. And when that's been broken, there's very little hope for the Chosen One to be able to see the light. And now that he's given Padme a chance to bring Anakin back, Obi-Wan decides that it's time for him to step in to settle things.
Liar!
No!
You're with him! You brought him here to kill me!
No!
Let her go, Anakin!
Anakin.
Let her go!
Obi-Wan has now not only witnessed Anakin take the lives of innocent children, but also turn against the very person he loves the most in the galaxy. So if he's willing to do that to her, then in his mind, there really is no hope for him.
You turned her against me!
You have done that yourself!
Obi-Wan reminds Anakin that he has all the power in this scenario. Rather than blaming others for the outcome, he must look within if he wants to see change. There's nothing Obi-Wan can do to make Padme truly change her opinion of Anakin. It's only Anakin that can do that, as it's his own actions that speak the loudest when it comes to others determining his character.
You will not take her from me! Your anger and your lust for power have already done that. You have allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind until now until now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Obi-Wan eloquently states the flaws in Anakin's decisions, as he's been manipulated into seeking happiness in a place that would never give it to him. He's seen Anakin grow from an altruistic boy that wanted to help others, to a man who's become a tyrant, who lusts and craves power above the people that he cares about.
I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Your new empire?
Don't make me kill you.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
Obi-Wan reminds Anakin here that it's not about the side itself that they once fought on, but what it stood for, as the philosophy behind democracy is that everyone has a voice and everyone's opinion matters, that through communication we can reach a common goal, a government ruled by the people. But Anakin has embraced the ideals of a dictatorship, where one rules all and makes decisions based on what they deem is best for others, emphasizing that Anakin has become what he hates, as he once grew up a slave and now he's on the other side, treating the galaxy's citizens as slaves of his own.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
You will try.
Anakin has become close-minded and has made an enemy out of everyone. Obi-Wan was still willing to compromise with Anakin, but he's failed to show him that he could be reasoned with. As an agent of evil, Anakin vows to destroy those that stand in his way. So spoken like a true guardian of peace, Obi-Wan promises to do only what is necessary of him and defend what he stands for. What would then ensue is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. And just like that, the Battle of the Heroes begins, a fitting name as they were once both legendary heroes of the Clone Wars, serving the Republic and the Jedi Order alike. But as the opening crawl suggested, they can be considered the heroes of both sides, with evil being everywhere. It's again a great representation of the dichotomy of the Jedi and the Sith, as Anakin is the full aggressor, with Obi-Wan on his back foot the entire time. Anakin constantly goes for the kill, where Obi-Wan looks to tire his opponent and find an opening. A visual representation of using the Force for power and attack versus knowledge and defense. As mentioned earlier, Mustafar can be considered hell itself, and a metaphor for Anakin's inner conflict. So the fact that the legendary duel between the brothers takes place here is important. As for Anakin, just like the volcanic planet, when one has given themselves to the dark side, they can become unstable and ready to erupt at any moment, with the result only leading to physical, mental, and emotional destruction. For Obi-Wan, the planet emphasizes the great lengths he's willing to go to help his former apprentice, as he's almost quite literally willing to go to hell and back in the hopes of saving his brother and protecting the galaxy. And as the two fight each other, little by little, the facility they're in is destroyed, representative of the consequences of choosing violence over finding peace. Without realizing it, whether it's the Republic, the Jedi Order, or the once good friendship that the two had, everyone suffers from the fighting. Also to note, the difference in color of their clothes represents their stance on the classic tale of good versus evil, as Obi-Wan has always sported a lighter colored tunic, symbolizing his unwavering affiliation to the light side of the Force, and the consistency of his clothes emphasizing his incorruptibility. For Anakin, we see how his clothes have gotten progressively darker throughout the films, representing his descent into darkness.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you.
This at its core is one of the many things that makes Obi-Wan truly special, the ability to never shift the blame on others and always look inwards, analyzing his own mistakes so he can have a chance at learning from them and continue to evolve and grow as a person. Comparatively, part of the reason Anakin stagnates is due to his inability to do the same, always blaming his master for his problems.
Because of Obi-Wan.
You thunder against me!
You will not take it from me!
While it is Anakin's direct actions that have caused the fall of the Jedi Order, Obi-Wan understands that like everything else in life, you can't do it by yourself. So he accepts the responsibility of Anakin committing those sins because he failed him as a teacher.
I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over!
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil!
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil!
Well, then you are lost!
Ironically, Obi-Wan shows here one of the ways he's failed Anakin as a teacher, as he fails to communicate with him properly, only looking at the situation from his perspective, never stopping to think how Anakin came to his own conclusion. This concept of perspective is what Palpatine understood and exploited, as he stated earlier.
Good as a point of view, Anakin.
So when Anakin doesn't listen, Obi-Wan just gets more frustrated rather than explaining or even hearing him out.
This is the end for you, my master.
The two know that the fight will only last so long, and Anakin will not be reasoned with. So Obi-Wan does what he can to put him in a no-win scenario by taking the high ground and challenging his ego.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
You underestimate my power!
Don't try it!
It's a bit of reverse psychology, but it effectively works. Also, the idea of having the high ground is not only a physical truth used to exploit his hubris and arrogance, something he's seen in Anakin before, and as well his duel with Maul, overall a common trait among the Sith in general, but it also is a metaphor for Obi-Wan having the moral high ground, as Obi-Wan feels his actions are justified, as he fights for others and Anakin fights for himself, and the power he can obtain and how it benefits him, to the point that he's still concerned with trying to prove his strength as a warrior. And in one swift stroke, Obi-Wan wins the duel, dismembering Anakin and bringing him closer to the very thing he would mention in the original trilogy.
He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil.
It's fitting for Anakin to lose his limbs, as it's symbolic of him losing a piece of his humanity, a scar he would live with for the rest of his life, and the price he would pay for betraying all that he cared about. It's especially sad for Obi-Wan, his best friend, as he essentially closes the casket on Anakin, as he would live the rest of his life in the tomb we would know as the iconic suit.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness! I hate you! You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
In other words, Obi-Wan is simply saying, I'm disappointed in you. Obi-Wan was one of the few people that always truly believed in Anakin, and while in Anakin's eyes he feels resentment towards his former master, as he felt he held him back, Obi-Wan was only so hard on him because he believed in him so firmly. He witnessed the good boy that was once Anakin transform into something evil, and as Anakin yells with rage about his hatred, Obi-Wan can only respond with love, and more painfully, he expresses it in the past tense. There was a time he would have done anything to save Anakin, but Anakin, the very symbol of hope for the Jedi as the prophesied chosen one, causes Obi-Wan's hope to die with him. This scene even mirrors one at the beginning of the film, where Anakin saves Obi-Wan without question, but this time, Obi-Wan doesn't return the favor. As even Anakin said,
But you owe me one, and not for saving your skin for the 10th time.
So Obi-Wan doesn't save him, not out of spite, but he leaves him to die because he doesn't want to save Vader. He would rather that the memory of Anakin remain. Essentially, if he died now, he could still die the hero and the friend that he admired. Depending on how you look at it, it could be cruel, but Obi-Wan would rather that not only his memory of him be intact, but also that Anakin would no longer be in pain. He attempts to do Anakin one last favor, to rid him of his pain forever, so that the boy who lived in fear may finally rest in peace. As Anakin burns with rage, so does he physically. As he's engulfed and consumed in the flames, he now becomes as unrecognizable physically as he was mentally to his friends. We as the audience can now see Vader through Obi-Wan's eyes, a monster. And while this happens, Obi-Wan forces himself to see what Anakin has become, to remind himself of the reality of his failure, so he could remember this image and do everything in his power to ensure that it never happens again. In the same way Obi-Wan mentions,
This weapon is your life.
Him taking Anakin's weapon is symbolic of that very thing. He left believing that he killed Anakin Skywalker, but he would not let the good memory of him die, so he took his weapon so that his memory would live on, to then one day use it to inspire his son in Luke Skywalker.
Obi-Wan. Is Anakin alright?
Knowing that Padme may be on the brink of death, Obi-Wan remains silent, as he doesn't want to say what's transpired, because Obi-Wan is still burdened with the question, did I do the right thing? The idea of keeping Anakin's spirit alive is furthered through Obi-Wan attempting to save Padme's life, as she represents the good in Anakin, and their children, a symbol of their love and compassion. So it's fitting that Obi-Wan does what he can to preserve that. This then mirrored by Palpatine trying to preserve the monster he's created. Both Anakin's masters of good and evil are still fighting to guide the chosen one on their desired path. So it's fitting that Palpatine creates a suit to trap and imprison Anakin and control him. And Obi-Wan does what he can so Luke and Leia can be born and live a free life, one that Anakin never got to live.
Obi-Wan, there's good in him. I know there's still.
Obi-Wan witnesses Padme's body die before her spirit ever did. It's that belief and resilience that she possesses that would live on in Luke and Leia. Unfortunately for Obi-Wan, as hopeful as he is and wants to believe that the good in Anakin still exists, he truly believes that there's no hope for his former apprentice. This being one of the very tragedies of losing his best friend, as he lost a piece of himself in the process, as Anakin always inspired Obi-Wan with hope of a brighter future. And on the topic of a brighter future, a plan for the children of Anakin Skywalker must be made.
Hidden, safe, the children must be kept.
We must take them somewhere where the Sith will not sense their presence.
Here, the 3 remaining heroes vow to protect the symbols of hope and allow them to live as the Force wills it, in a sense hitting the reset button on what the Jedi Order became and living life in its true philosophy, as Qui-Gon believed, through the will of the Force.
And what of the boy?
To Tatooine, to his family send him.
I will take the child and watch over him.
It's fitting that Obi-Wan volunteers to look after Luke, as he sees this as an opportunity to mend his mistakes, to learn from his faults with Anakin, and give Luke a better future.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
Training?
An old friend has learned the path to immortality. One who has returned from the netherworld of the Force. Your old master.
Qui-Gon?
How to commune with him, I will teach you.
As per his character, Obi-Wan is always in a constant state of learning, a great example of always choosing to improve oneself. Also, the fact that it's through Qui-Gon is fitting, as he was his old master, and he can still learn a few valuable lessons from him. It's also a reminder of the impact those that we care about can have on us. The fact that Qui-Gon learned immortality is representative of that, similar to loved ones that pass away in our own life, as we can still learn from them as long as they live in our minds. So it's fitting that Obi-Wan be tasked with this, as he has much to learn if he's to have the kind of impact on others as Qui-Gon once did for him. In the closing shots of the film, Obi-Wan hands off Luke to his aunt and uncle, symbolic of placing his trust in the Force and allowing it to dictate their destiny. And while he may have lost his faith in Anakin, he still believes that there's hope in the universe. And while things may look grim, he will never stop doing what he feels is right. And similar to Batman, he may be the hero the galaxy deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So he'll wait for the right moment. And in the meantime, he'll be a silent guardian and a watchful protector to Luke. A Jedi Knight, choosing to be a shining light similar to the binary sunset as the day sets on the Republic, only for night to come. But the light will return as the failed teacher may have fallen for now, but he'll learn to pick himself up again. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video, and if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 5 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications. Or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading there significantly sooner than on YouTube, so part 5 should be there available as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And thank you to everyone who watches. I truly appreciate it. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character is the greatest failure and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, remember to always take the high ground.